that saved a wretch like me. You're here, I'm pleased, I really feel your company. Your style, your smile, your pace mentality. Lord, have mercy on me. I was blind, now I can see what a king's supposed to be.
Excuse me, miss. I was in the waiting room when you gave your testimony. And what I realized is that we have an enemy in common. While you were being called to the office again, I was being put out the only home I've ever known. While you were shaking with anxiety and fear over something no one ever wants to hear, I was shaking in dread. Because we all know what happens to little girls that have no home and no one to claim them. I think our souls passed each other by. See, my soul left me a long time ago in a dingy motel room, ripped away by brutal force. It fled, unable to find its way back home.
Historical people, who would you want in your seat and why?
Wow. I guess because I'm different. You know, I'm not really starstruck. And so it would be hard to really pinpoint anybody in particular. First person that just came to my mind, you know, I mean, if I had an opportunity to cut Denzel, you know, I would.
That's a good one.
I'd do that.
That would be a dope conversation.
Exactly.
How important is diversity in your work, considering you grew up in a bilingual, bicultural home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important. I think at this point, just in society, there's just so much diversity, you know, whether it be in language, whether it be in your upbringing, whether it be, you know, in whatever that is. And so I think growing up in, you know, a bilingual household as well as really a bicultural, despite the fact that, you know, my parents are you know, both of Hispanic descent, but growing up in two different cultures of, you know, very traditional values in the home and very different, and sometimes similar values, right, outside of the home, but in different ways, right?
Yeah.
He tests those whom he loves. I pray he continues to love me till my death. I pray he continues testing me and testing me and testing me until I have no questions left. Until I can ingest knowledge and choke on lies and spit out truth with every breath. But you see, until love for what he loves and hate for what he hates is the only thing that's left within my chest. I know that I will constantly fight to love what's right because I was created with a heart that sits slightly to the left. But I'm okay with that. Because I always knew and always know that he knows exactly what is best. You see, he knew that it would only be a matter of time before I would open my eyes and finally realize that I needed to look deep down inside and pull out the divide so that my heart and my mind would collide and learn to work together.
What's good? What's going on, my good people? We are back for another amazing episode. This is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People with your host, Willie Beeman. Today is gonna be great. I think today we're gonna have a great conversation about a lot of different things and how you bring value to our community. So without further ado, definitely gotta give him a solid introduction. He is originally from CIUDAD, Juarez, Mexico.
Correct.
I've been practicing it a little bit with Noah and me. Longtime Forest Hill resident since November of 2005. Member of the Forest Hill City Council as Councilman Place 6. Passionate musician with inspirations from Beethoven, Pink Floyd, Alice in Chains, and Randy Rhoads. Married for 20 years alongside being a foster parent for 5 years.
Correct.
Community leader, missionary. Y'all put some fire, put some hand claps in the chat for my brother, Mr. Councilman Rivas. What's going on, sir?
Everything is good.
Everything?
Thank you for that introduction.
Oh, yeah.
I appreciate it.
No problem, no problem.
Thank you for having me here. I'm really excited, a little bit nervous because I don't see faces. I see a camera. But I'm excited, what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I hope people join us. And if you have any questions, send questions.
Yes, please put
We're happy
questions.
to answer any questions. And we'll be here after the show. So if you want to come back, we can have a talk if you need to.
Gotcha. I always like to kick off the show. There's been numerous of people that's been on the show who are from Forest Hill or Forest Hill natives. So, but before we get to that, just kind of walk us through your story of you growing up in Juarez, New Mexico, and what that means to you.
Wow, that's a good question right there. You gotta picture that I was raised back in the 70s. Yes, sir. In Juarez, and you gotta imagine this. There's a city right here from Mexico, Juarez, where everybody obviously speaks Spanish.
Right.
But then we have our neighbor whose city name is El Paso, and they obviously speak English. And they have El Paso has this little mixture. It's a little mix because even though it's United States, it has part of what Mexico is. So it's, I want to emphasize on El Paso, like being this place where you can go and get stuff, learn stuff. And that's the one thing that from my point of view, always wanted me to be in the United States.
Wow.
Another thing is, back in my days, we only had 2 Spanish TV channels, okay? But we have 5 in English.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I was always raised by English guys.
English.
And another thing that it is funny is that music was always in English.
Wow.
You say, so for example, the first song that I remember liking, that I like that song, is Hotel California by the Eagles. And I was around 5 years old when that
Wow.
came. So growing up in my time, it was this mist of, being free, being in the streets. Remember, back then, your mom couldn't call you. Your mom couldn't tell you, test you or something.
Right,
She would have to go find you. And that would be a 3 or 5 or 10 blocks walk for her.
Wow.
So it was different times. So we were a little bit more carefree. Back when I was around 15 years old, back in 1985, my parents separated and we moved to Fort Worth. So I was really excited. I mean, I was depressed, but at the same time, like excited
at the same
because
time, yeah.
Even though I already knew English from because over there they teach you English, or you have to learn another language in Mexico when you go to school. It might be German, it might be French, it might be any language, but you have to be bilingual over there.
Wow.
So obviously I chose English. So when we moved over here, even though I had this situation, I loved it because when I went to Pasco High School, the first day that I walked in, it felt like, oh, this is it. This is where I belong.
Yeah.
And then, they started teaching me English, how to write in English, and all of that stuff. It was amazing, especially the thing that I love the most, and obviously every kid would say that, is lunchtime. But not because you go to lunch, not because you go to away from the teacher, because you saw that in movies. You gotta understand, every time you watch the movie, usually the movie will develop in the cafeteria. So the first time that I walked into the cafeteria and I saw that, I was like, oh, this looked like a movie set. You know what I'm saying? So you feel really good and going to the line, getting your lunch and sitting at the tables and seeing that. And back then, they used to have a jukebox in that.
A jukebox, wow.
Yeah. So I remember going in there and then hearing Panama by Van Halen, like, like, oh, this is great. This is great. I love this school. So, and to be more clear, to me, it wasn't hard. School wasn't hard because since I didn't know a lot of English, they put me in a grade below. So math was extremely, everything that they gave me was really easy. So to me, it wasn't that hard to be, in school.
Wow.
You see? So I went to school. Something that I never learned is that how can I explain this? To get to a point, you need education. Okay, so
Yeah,
I was never taught about education.
Right.
So I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a guitar player. I wanted to be Randy Rhoads. I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen. But nobody ever told me that you can go to school to become a musician. So I did what everybody, well, not everybody, but some people do. I quit school to become a musician.
Yeah.
So after probably when I was 20 years old, I realized that you could go to college to become a musician.
Yeah.
So I learned mostly from magazines. I read to read notes, to write music through magazine, Guitar World, Guitar Player. So that's mostly, how I became into a musician. And then probably in 1992, 94, 92, I wanted to learn about my culture, because it got to the point where I got this question a lot asked, like, what are you? And whenever somebody asked me like that, I didn't get what they were meaning.
Right.
So one time I just say I'm a rocker, but I thought that's what they were meaning. So one time I asked somebody who said me, what are you? And I said, what do you mean? Yeah, what race are you? And that kind of struck me, because I never asked my question, what race am I? And I see people saying I'm this, I'm that, but I never question.
You never, yourself.
So that kind of struck a nerve in me, and I wanted to know who I was. So because of that, I wanted to learn. So I went back to Mexico. I went. I don't know if this is illegal or not, but I used to sneak into college classes in Mexico.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So one friend told me, dude, the classes are so big, they don't know who's who's who.
Yeah,
because the classes, there were like 100 kids. So he said, just look the way they dress and dress like them, and go into the class and sit in the back. And I'm like, are you sure? Yeah. So he actually took me to one of his classes. I think it was something in math that I couldn't understand. It was in another language for me. And he said, look, and he sat me in the back, you see? And so, yeah, I got my outfit. I saw how they were dressing. I put my backpack. I had a long hair, about this long, so I rubbed it all. And I used to do that. So I used to go to anthropology classes, philosophy classes.
Wow.
So I started getting into that kind of things. And then my friends already were in college. So something that happened that was good for me is that everybody in my circle was going to college. And I was too, but I wasn't getting credit. And they will be telling me, read this, so they will guide me, you see? And then probably about in 1995, 1996, it got to the point where I felt like I was old. If I could go back in time, back when I was 26, I would slap me and say, dude, you're not old. You're not even halfway. But so I felt like I wanted to find a purpose in my life.
Right, exactly.
You see? So telling things the way they are, I used to be an atheist. I didn't believe in God and anything like that. So, but then things started to get in a strange shape. I don't know how to explain this. But I used to read a lot. So I used to grab a bunch of books in my backpack and get the bus and get out of the city and go in the desert. Juarez is a desert. And I will, stop in the last stop of the bus, walk about 3 or 4 miles, and sit in the middle of the desert and read the whole day. Just water and reading. So one time I remember that it was nighttime, and I was in the middle of the desert, waiting for the bus to come and pick me. And I was afraid that I was going to spend the night there. And that's when I started looking at the sky, and I started looking like how big things are, how small I am.
Wow.
So that's when I feel like something inside of me said, like, there's got to be something.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So I started looking into religion. I went to a lot of different groups or religious groups.
Right.
Until I found one that it felt like it was my fit. Okay, I don't think religions are wrong or bad. It just feel like they're different fits. You see?
I like the way you put that.
You see, yeah, because you can be in your congregation, and I can be in my congregation, and we both be not the same, but we want the same. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The way that I call it is everybody has their own point of view. Like right now, we're having this conversation. You're looking at me, and I'm looking at you, but you don't look at yourself, but I'm looking at you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then we have them who are looking at us. You see, and they have another picture. We have people over here. You see,
different point of view.
But we are all together in this moment and this here. And if we go back, let's say we meet in a week, and we talk about this moment, you're gonna give me your point of view. He's gonna give another point of view. And that's what I call what everybody calls God. The moment with everybody. That's what religion is. The union of everybody into that, into God. I don't want to use fancy words because honestly, I don't know them in English. But that's, so when I found my faith, I had this problem. I used to suffer from insomnia. I used to go days where sleeping only 1 hour, 2 hours, and that was getting a toll on my health. And I was very young. I was 26, 27. So when I went into this religious group, and I explained to the instructor or priest, however you want to call it, my situation, he gave me a trick. He said, whenever you're laying down, just feel like a blue light is carving in your body. That blue light is relaxing your body. It's taking your stress out. And just let your body be there. Something along those lines, he said. So I remember going home, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I lay down, and I started seeing that blue light coming in. And I felt this really nice sleepiness. And I felt like floating. Not floating like flying, but what I'm saying is my body was relaxed. And I remember I just like, boom, falling, but not like free fall, like, and then opening my eyes, and I had the best night ever.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is it for me. I gotta do this. So that's when I wanted to become a missionary. And and I was 20 years old, so that was like close to 28 years ago.
Speaking of missionary, that path started in 1998, correct? So for you, what was the driving force in wanting to pursue mission work?
It was what I just said, but it was mostly that something that I noticed, and then obviously I used to be in a rock band, and you know that type of people that is in those circles.
Right.
I don't mean in a bad way, but it's just different people. So when I got into this, into my congregation, let's call it this way, a lot of us went as a group. There were like about 20 of us. We all were musicians. We all were, some with tattoos, some with not tattoos. But then, little by little, the group got to the point where there were only 3 of us. But then I noticed that the 3 of us were different. We were more positive in life. We were like thinking about getting ahead, doing something with our life. And I noticed that change in them. I noticed that change in me. And I felt like, what if I can do the same change to other people?
Right. Impact.
Yeah, you see? What if when I needed help, somebody helped me? What if I can give the help? You see, so that's what I felt. I quit music there and dedicated myself to what I do now, missionary.
Missionary, wow. Staying on that topic, walk us through your first experience in the mission field and what you learned from it.
My first location was El Paso, by the way.
Wow. You just mentioned it earlier.
Yeah. So it was funny because when I took my my training, let's call it that way, we went to. It was funny because it was also the monastery, the place where we were. It was in the middle of the desert too. It was funny, like how am I from the desert?
Back at the desert.
Yeah, and then when they're telling you, you gotta go and start your mission, and they give you a random city, and they say El Paso. I'm like, that's like my hometown. So I went there. I was really excited. The first place, because you had to open like a church, but it's since you're starting, you do it in a home. That's how you start. So I rented this place with two rooms. And my first time that I did, that I invited people, was just one person, one lady. Next day, the lady brought her daughters. And then probably in a month, I already had like a 20 people congregation.
Wow.
And it was really nice. It's a feeling that I how can I explain? Very rewarded.
Yeah.
Seeing that you're doing something good for people and you and you have a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you are helping the purpose. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Going back, you mentioned being in Juarez, New Mexico, being in the desert, waiting for the bus to come. Do you feel like that was the moment when you found purpose?
That was it. Because I was looking for something, you see. But it's funny because I had the same feeling probably 5 years later. I was in this city they sent me to another city in Mexico it's called Coatzacoalcos. It's by the sea. So I went to the sea because I obviously being from the desert, I hardly ever went to the sea. I cannot say the other word because it sounds nasty. Okay, that's why I'm gonna call it the sea. So I remember going there and seeing the water, the waves coming, and that same feeling came. Feeling small, feeling like you. I don't want to say you're nothing, but you're close to nothing compared to the everything. You see?
Yeah.
So, in a way, that's something that still kind of drives me, to be honest. I don't want to get a big ego, like I'm a big thing, because you can stop breathing any moment.
Yes. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
And I'm going to get in that subject, I'm sorry. For example, there's a tribe between Arizona and Sonora, Mexico. And these tribes, they believe that death is always next to you. They say death is right here. And when death touches your left shoulder, it takes you. But the thing that I like about them is that whenever they have a hard situation, they say, just ask your dad what you can do right now. Meaning, nothing is important, but everything is important. Whatever you do it. But think about it, you're not going to be there to see it flourish. You see? So that's always in my mind. That's always in my mind whatever I'm doing.
Right. Absolutely. Going back into the beginning, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of people I've had on that are from Forest Hill. So for you, describing your own words, what does the city of Forest Hill mean to you?
It's a little bit funny in a way, because I didn't move to Forest Hill. I bought a house in Fort Worth. When I went to get my driver's license, changed the address, they told me, you live in Forest Hill. And I'm like, no, sir, I live in Fort Worth. This is my address. No, sir, that's another city. So that's when I figured out, like, oh, so I'm now in Fort Worth. I'm in Forest Hill. So at first, it was something like anything else, like you just move to another house.
Right.
But then you start knowing your neighbors. You start noticing that your neighbors had this probably warm. I don't know, because I haven't felt that I have lived in the United States since 1985.
Right.
Back and forth when I've been, but I have never felt what I felt here. That it's something that, like, a sense of community. like people are watching you, helping you. At first, it kind of bothered me because I'm that type of person who likes to be left alone. But I noticed that, like my neighbors telling me, this is happening in the neighborhood. The people bringing us food. I didn't complain about that, but I mean, so I started noticing that in my community.
Right.
Where I live is mostly Hispanics. And there was this black couple right next to us, and there was this white couple in front of us.
Right.
But I noticed that they also had that union. So with years, living here, I felt a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
Even though I was raised in Juarez, even though I've been in many, many cities, I do consider myself Forest Hill. I consider myself more Forest Hill than I have considered myself Juarez, because I notice that people are trying always to help. I live on the south side of the city. Whenever I go to the north side, my wife have friends over there. They have the same sense.
Yeah.
And I go to visit some of my relatives here in Forward, and I don't see that. It's something that I think that's the magic of Forest Hill.
Yeah.
We're I don't know, somos muy unidos. That's what we say in Spanish. We're very united. A lot of times you hear this word used in discriminated way,
Right.
like we're family. Like, oh, somos familia. We're family. I do feel Forest Hill is a family. I've seen it because every places that where I go, obviously I'm known because of my position as a council member. But my wife she's not known, right? But everywhere that we go, she tells me like, people treat me like they know me. They treat my son, which is a big point, like they know him, like he is their nephew.
Right.
You see? So if I can say what it means to me, Forest Hill is it's more like a family, it's more like a community, it's some unity that I have never seen, that I have never experienced. And believe me, I've been in many, many cities in the United States, in many cities in Mexico, and I haven't seen that here. So
Okay.
to answer your question, I feel Forest Hill is me.
Yeah.
I am Forest Hill. I am Forest Hill. Forest Hill is me.
Yeah.
It's part of me. You see what I'm saying? It's in my DNA. I will
got
say
you.
that.
Gotcha. Take us back to the day when you were elected council, place 6. How you felt leading up to that moment?
There's so many things that happened to my mind. I was happy. I was eager to do something good for the city.
Yeah.
I was nervous because I'm not I was to be told I wasn't trained to be a councilman. They give me about a book this big, So I'm a big reader.
Yeah.
I can read. So I read it, and then even though I had an idea what I was supposed to do, I didn't have any idea how to do it.
Yeah.
And then I read it about 3 or 4 times, the book, before I got to the swearing. And even there, when I was there, I was like, what did I got myself into? Because at the moment, I wasn't familiar with the procedures.
Right.
I wasn't familiar, but I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted for our city. You see, the problem that I had in those probably 8 weeks, 12 weeks, was that I didn't know the procedures. You see? So when that day happened, I was really happy. I was really nervous. And I was at the same time sad because a lot of people were congratulating me for something that I didn't think I earned. Like, you're the first Hispanic in the city. I felt like that shouldn't be something to congratulate me. Honestly, and I will say here, and it will be in the record, I felt embarrassed for the city. Because how come it took so long for Hispanic to be elected?
Wow.
When 50% of our city, a little bit more, is
It's
Hispanic.
Yeah.
You see, so that city, our city, is being held by Hispanic taxes. You see, so how come, I'm the first Hispanic, and how come I need to feel proud of that? I don't know if you understand my
Yeah,
feeling.
no, yeah, I understand
but
what you're saying.
I felt like
I do.
it's not right. It's not right. And then it came this thing that it kicked me, like in my worst feelings, was that the responsibility that I had.
Yeah.
Being Hispanic, it's like I represent everybody, because I do represent everybody. When I mean everybody is Forest Hill. But I didn't like that they were saying you're Hispanic and you represent Hispanics. And I take that responsibility really seriously right now. But at the same time, I gotta make sure that you understand it's not just Hispanics. It's Forest Hill.
I like that.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, there were a lot of attacks on me because I was Hispanic, and there were a lot of people talking bad about me because obviously English is my second language.
Right.
I got better. My English got better from that time to this time, but it bothered me, and I'll be honest, that they thought that the way that I speak is the level of my intelligence. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, I do sound a little bit primitive, of course. Pero si ellos me escuchan hablar en español y ellos saben mi nivel de educación, se van a topar con algo. What I said is, if they hear me in my native language, if they talk to me in my own grounds, there's going to be another thing. You see what I'm saying? So going back to your question, I felt like there was a great opportunity. I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was eager, and I think I did my purpose, whatever I had there, wherever I whatever I wanted to achieve, I try.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. Gotcha. I have a question from my engineer. Do you still feel that sense of community and belonging today? Do you still feel that now?
I feel more than ever. I feel more than ever because since I became a council member, I have met a lot of people. I have met people, different cultures, different shades. I have met a lot of people here in Forest Hill.
Right.
And again, Forest Hill is this, you know what? I'm not afraid, and you can quote me, that Forest Hill is what actually the United States represents. That's what the United States stands for. This is a place where cultures meet. This is a place where different type of cultures, different type of thinking meet. They clash because you have to have a clash. There is not gonna be, I don't believe in evolution. Evolution is for lazy people. I believe in revolution. People think revolution is a violent thing. No. Revolution is that change of something into something completely different. It can be better.
Yeah.
It can be worse.
Yeah.
So Forest Hill to me represents what the United States actually should be.
Following or staying on this topic, are there any major development projects or community initiatives in the works that you're excited about?
I'm trying to be polite about the question. One of the things that I'm most excited about in Forest Hill, believe it or not, is the process that we're going through, which is to make a new library, to build a new library. When we met with the people who are trying to show us the plans that they have for a library, I believe that's something that I'm looking forward to most in the whole city, because I gotta tell you, not just because I'm here, but I have always been a big advocator, I guess that's the word that I'm looking for. I always been advocating for the library. To me, the library is the heart of any community. Since I was a kid, I used to spend the weekend in the Forward Library, that big one with the big subterranean.
Yeah.
And I spent the whole weekend there. We don't have internet. We don't have anything. So you have to do your hard work. So that's still, is with me, and I noticed that a place where you can go in Forest Hill is the library. I bring my kids here, and when you guys told us that we're gonna build something different, that's the thing that I'm looking most.
You're more excited about.
Yeah, and I think that I'm more excited about, because I do believe that even though we live in an age with electronics is everywhere,
Yeah.
you have to embrace it, but you have to understand the information, no matter the format, is gonna come out of a library.
Yeah.
Library is that neutral place where we can meet.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the thing that I'm most excited about.
Gotcha. What would you say to residents who feel disconnected or unheard by their local government?
I agree with them. I felt their pain, and I'm sorry that the city is not listening to them. I know what they're going through. I go through it. I'm working in the city, and I'm sorry that you're going through that, but believe me, I'm going through the same thing. Now, what do I recommend them to do? You have to make yourself heard. Don't talk. Scream. Don't get tired screaming. Don't knock once.
Keep knocking.
Keep on knocking. If you keep knocking, they're gonna open the door. They might make you go away, but they know you are outside. So what would I say to them? Write emails. Write emails to all of the council members. Write emails to everybody in the city. One of them is gonna hear you and gonna send you back an email. But don't be content with just somebody answering you. You need to get results.
Yeah.
You need to get results, and until you see results, stop screaming. If you don't see the results, if somebody comes to you and tells you, I'm gonna work on it, no. You wait until they finish working on whatever you are asking for, and then give them a glass of water. That's what I would say to them.
Right. From what I'm hearing is keep screaming until you get results.
That's what I want.
That's what I'm hearing, Councilman.
Yeah, you have to make yourself heard. Look, I don't know if this applies, but we're living in a time where everybody thinks everybody is listening, but people are hearing you, but they're not listening.
It's a difference. Yeah.
Hearing is cutting the noise. Listening is comprehending what they're saying. So
like that.
right now, nobody is listening. And I'm talking about not only from your city leaders, but all the way to the federal leaders. We need to make ourselves listen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Forest Hill, it seems like something really small, but just keep in mind, our full body is made out of cells. If you hurt just one cell, the whole body feels it. Once you hit yourself in just a little part of your body, the whole body senses it. So we need to do that. We need to make ourselves listen. We pay them. We pay them. And I'll repeat that again. We pay them, so they need to listen.
Yeah.
We had a war on that in Boston, just for T-TAS. Come on,
Yeah.
We need better streets. We need everything better.
Right,
We pay
right.
for it.
Somebody made a statement online in the chat, Charmaine Pruitt. You did your best to fight for our citizens in the city, and too often it appeared you were fighting alone, but you held your ground.
I try. I'm still working. Believe me, I had 2 weeks. This last month, I've been working so hard. I've been researching, reading like you have no idea, reading laws and other stuff. And I'm still working. I'll start fighting the last day until my last day.
Yeah.
When that moment they swear in my replacement, at that moment I'll stop.
Yeah.
But right now I'm not stopping.
Gotcha. Follow-up question. Are you running for re-election? And if not, why?
I'm not running for re-election because at the moment I'm going through some personal situation,
Yeah.
family, and I need to take care of those those situations.
Yeah.
You know, I had a talk with my wife, and we were, you know, evaluating our situation. You see, and there's things that we need to take care of in our house.
Yeah.
That that it- that wouldn't let me put my full attention on what I need to do.
Right.
Because I don't believe in halves. So I believe in, if I'm going to do what I'm doing, I'm going to put my 100%.
Right.
I put my 100% in council. I put my 100% in fostering. I put my 100% in my ministries. I put my 100% in my volunteering, and I had to do my 100% in my job.
Yeah.
And I do that.
Yeah.
But right now I feel like it's going to lack a little bit on the council, so I'd rather just have somebody who is going to do good for the city.
Yeah.
You see, I'm not going to say who I am endorsing, but it's very obvious.
Gotcha. You mentioned, well, you're a guy of many hats. What was the thought process in wanting to go into foster care?
It is funny because I already told you a little bit of my youth. And as a kid, I had a really troubled childhood. I don't think it was my parents' problem. It was more like I was too energetic for them. Let's call it that way. So I had many questions as a kid, too. One of them that is still stuck with me that is funny now is that when I was about 4 years old, I heard somebody talking about gravity. Gravity is what keeps us down. And I just thought, what if they just turn it off? Where do we go? So I had some of my friends, and they go, "Oh, you just go into heaven, never fall," right? So because of all those situations, I made myself a note when I was around 17 to never have children. I had never had children, by the way. When I met my wife, and I knew she was the one, I kind of told her, "Look, there's a problem. I don't want to have children." And she's like, "Yes."
Wow.
And
Wow.
she said, "You know what? I was worried that you wanted children." And I said, "You don't want children? Let's get married." So
Wow.
we talked, and we saw that it's a big responsibility to reproduce yourself. Let's just call it that way. To raise a child when you don't know what's going on with your life, right? So we had we've been married for 23 years now, okay? So it got to the point where we are happy. We were happy with no children. But one time she saw Wednesday Child on the news. I think it's Channel 8 or Channel 5. I don't remember which one, with Cynthia Aguirre. And they were showing a kid who needed parents. Mm-hmm. And my wife said, I thought it was a joke. But when she didn't laugh, I'm like, oh my gosh. She said,
She was serious.
She said, what if we adopt a kid? And keep in mind that I thought she was joking. I said, we already have a puppy. You know, I said, we already that. And honestly, I can hardly take care of this. And this dog takes care of itself. He goes and knocks and tells me I gotta go to the restroom. Goes and knocks and tells me I need water. Because we had this really smart dog, and I can hardly take care of it. And she said, "No, I'm serious." So what happened is, honestly, I didn't want it. Honestly, because I could hardly take care of it. But then she's like, "Let's just go to one of those talks that they're gonna have."
Right.
And I go, "Okay. Probably we'll have pizza afterwards." It'll be good. So we went to the talk, and then they say, okay, they explained the whole thing. And then I still was a no, okay? And she's like, why don't we go and see if we can take the training? And I said, okay, let's go. We went, and then we signed up for the trainings. And as the trainings were showing, I was more no, because they start telling you how, what they go through. To be in foster care, it's not like you're having the best life as a kid. It's because something is extremely wrong, and you need to be taken care of. You see, that state decides like, oh, no, This kid needs somebody to help him. So they show you some stuff. They show you kids, the abuse that the kids go through and other stuff. And that was like a 500% no for me. Like, starting, getting flashbacks of my childhood, because I didn't have that best childhood either. So I was like, how am I going to deal with this kid who has trauma when I still haven't deal with mine?
Your own. Wow.
So I still inside of me, it was a no. But my wife wanted that, so I just went with it. So I said, they're never going to place a kid with us. So they told us, hey, there's this kid, and now, well, it's not our fit. Anyway, so I got to the point where I'm like, this is going to happen, So I started putting my best face up front. And then they tell us, we need you to take care. Can you take care of this kid? He's 6 years old. You're only going to be taking care of him for 2 weeks. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we got this kid, beautiful kid, high energetic kid. Like, oh my God. I mean, I lost 10 pounds in the first week, like that, because I used to just be sitting. So, and then it comes to the point where they tell us, hey, can you keep that kid a little bit longer? The investigation is taking longer. He was already in foster care. So we started having a little bit of problems with this kid because he has his traumas and we don't know,
Yeah,
you
learn,
but you don't practice. It's different. So it's not like they train you like, oh, how you feeling? So anyway, long story short, the kid spent 6 weeks with us in respite. And then they tell us he's going to go to another house. Do you want to keep him? And at that point, I'm kind of attached to him. I'm already learning about him. And we're like, okay. And then they tell us this kid is going to be up for adoption. And at that point, I'm like, this is a phrase that we use a lot. I'm Mexican. We don't let people go. I don't know if you heard that, but we Mexicans don't do that. So at that point, I'm like, I'm not going to let this kid go. You know what I'm saying? He was still a respite, but I said, this is my son now. Wow. If he's here, he's my son. He's under my care. So yeah, we talked about it, and we can adopt it. And I said to my wife, we can adopt it. And she's like, isn't that what we were supposed to be doing? Like, oh yeah, I forgot. So anyway, we adopt him. We learn a little bit more, and we see the impact that you have.
Right.
You see, so that's like for me, it was an accident. It was something that I planned to, but now I'm very proud of. It's something that I do, even though sometimes you're gonna have really hard times because you gotta understand these kids need love, they need stability. So we're still doing it. I mean, we've been doing it for 5 years now. Right now, we have 4 kids in our home. Right now, and each kid has their own baggage, talent, and you gotta help. You gotta help. So I feel like if what we're doing, if one of them, we change their lives, that's good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yes, if you are considering doing foster care, you gotta understand it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and it's 300% the kid, and minus 500% you.
Yeah.
You see, so there's a lot of kids, and I mean, I'm gonna take advantage of this moment. There's a lot of kids that need a home. There's a lot of kids that need love, guidance, to show them that they are somebody.
Right.
Not that they can be somebody. They are somebody. You need to show them that they are somebody.
Absolutely.
And they matter.
Yeah.
You see, that's something that I would say, and I want you, whoever is listening to me, get into fostering. Do your part. Help. We need to help.
Yeah.
One moment or another, you're gonna need help. So
Yeah.
help. If you help before somebody needs to help you.
Right. Speaking of the multiple children that you have, how do you balance giving structure while also creating a sense of safety and love. And the reason why I ask that is because you're adopting these kids, so you're constantly learning them as you go. So how do you find that balance?
You had to, well, first of all, this work that we're doing, because we're doing it, I mean, I'm here, but my wife is part of it.
Yeah.
So what we do is we balance, we put, she gets some stuff that she needs to do, I do the other part. And what you do is you have to understand that it's a one-on-one situation with each kid.
Yeah.
Each kid has different talents. I have a kid who is kind of a genius in math. I have another kid who is a genius in reading. I mean, he just turned 7. He can read like a college level things.
Wow.
Because I give him stuff to read and he can read, and he can interpret what he's reading. So how you balance it, you have to take each one, and also you gotta get your own time. And by that I mean they gotta go to bed at 8. So you can
8
watch
p.m.
so you can watch a show. You can, or at least sometimes what we do with my wife is we grab a cup of coffee at 8 o'clock and we're just drinking coffee, talking about the day. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard, but it is good. It's good. You gotta understand that you gotta treat each kid as his own. Even if they're siblings, you gotta see their strengths and the stuff. Yeah. It's hard, but it is fun. Believe me.
Yeah.
Kids say the funniest things.
Yeah, I see them come here a lot, man. They're very energetic.
Yeah.
Real energetic. I'm gonna make a pivot. I know in your bio you mentioned having a passion for music. When did that start for you, having a passion?
I think I was born with it. It's just, I remember, again, I'm going to use the same phrase. We're Mexicans. Music is always going to be in your house. Your mom will wake you up to go to school, and she would turn on the radio.
Yeah.
And you will hear the music. I know people are used to listen to boom, 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 but in my case, that wasn't the case. Like I said, I was by the border, so we were listening to ABBA, to Blondie, that kind of music. So you would hear that music. So I got that music, soaked into me. And at one point, I remember seeing about 2 blocks north where we live, there was a group, a band playing. And we used to go and look. And I never thought that I would end up playing, but I remember liking the way that it sounded.
Right.
So I used to, like, my first band that I fell in love with was Van Halen. Van Halen was the first band that I ever, I mean, I listened to everything, but it's like, I like this band. And then I went to Ozzy Osbourne. I went to more metal things.
Right.
But I used to love Fleetwood Mac. I used to Duran Duran. You know what I'm saying? So music was something that was always there. The thing about it was that I think I was in 7th grade and we were talking about literature. And then the teacher asked us to write about a book. They would give you a book and you had to do a report in 7th grade. And then somebody made a really small report, like 1 page, and the teacher said, I asked you for a report, not for a song, to the kid. And then I approached him, let me see what you did. And he showed me just the book talks, and I was like, oh, so that's how songs are written? So I started writing songs, and I was about 12 years old, but I didn't know what to write, so I would write whatever I would hear. So it was kind of funny because I remember hearing this song where it said that it was they talk about breaking up with his girlfriend and like suffering. And I heard that song and I wrote the same theme, but in different words.
Different words.
And then I think about like, dude, back then the only thing that would break your heart was like not letting you go out and play. But I was thinking, oh, I love you, I miss you, whatever I heard. So yeah, I started writing songs, and then I started to play guitar. But I started late. I was 19 when I started playing guitar.
Guitar, yeah.
Yeah, because I had a friend who was playing guitar, and I asked him, hey, will you teach me how to play? He's like, you're too old. You are already 40. And I believed it. He said, you got to start when you're 10. So I believed that. And one time I read an article about a doctor who graduated when he was 40.
Yeah.
And I said, well, and this is the funny part for me. He's 40, he's very old. And he did it. I'm 19, I can do it. Now I look like 40 is not old. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't think that's old.
Yeah. So at 19, I started playing guitar.
Yeah.
And that's when I started reading, going to the library, getting books, reading. And then I was already into classical music when I was a kid because a teacher told us, you're never going to understand classical music. So I was already into Bach, Mozart. Mozart is one of my favorite ones because of his, the way that he writes music is so, oh my God. It's like fireworks. That's the best way that I can say. But to me, Beethoven is the best musician ever. Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like, for example, if you listen to the Ninth Symphony, you know that. I love that intro because it feels to me like the heaven, the sky is opening. And when it's opening, you can see angels galloping down. That's what That's what I see. Yeah. So every time that I see that, I see like angels galloping, and then. So music is something that, like I said, is been with me. I learned to write music. I'm not really good. I can read music. I used to play really good back in my day. I won first place in a battle of guitar players.
Wow.
Yeah, I was extremely fast. But you gotta understand, back then when I decided that I was gonna be a musician, I quit my jobs and I moved to my dad's home. And I told him, listen, you're gonna be supporting me. Like that. Yeah.
You told him straight up?
Yeah. I said to him, you're going to be supporting me because I'm not going to work. And I will wake up about 6 o'clock. He will be waking up to go to work. I will wake up and he will take a shower. I will take a shower. He will leave. I will go make me a breakfast and a cup of, remember the I don't remember they were not 7-Elevens, but they were another store, Stop and Go. Remember they used to have those huge 64? Yeah, so I used to have one of those and fill it up with coffee. And I would eat and put my coffee, and I would start. The first thing that I would do in the morning is write a song. I would have to write lyrics. I write the lyrics, and then I would write music. All of the songs sounded the same because I do that every day. But I had to do that. And from that, I would start doing warm-ups on the guitar, then scales, and then I would try to learn songs. So I would spend every day anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day playing guitar. Except on Sundays where I only play for 8 hours. Because I did that for 2 years. So that I got really, really good. The problem is that I never ear trained myself.
Yeah.
I can play whatever I feel like. Well, not anymore, but I can. If I imagine something, I can play it. But if I hear something, I cannot play it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I can write my music. Whatever I hear, I can do it. But if you hear a song, some people say, "Oh, that's in D. That's in D minor," and I'm like, that sounds nice. I don't know what chord he's playing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can hear my own music.
Right.
So music has been with me.
It's a part of it's part of your life.
Yeah. I still write music. Now I use a computer. That's really cool. Now I can actually finish music songs. When I started learning about writing back in my day, we used to have this little thing that I used to call drum machines, and you can.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And so they got one where you can not only program the drums but also the bass and keyboards. And that's when I quit my band, or I fired them. But mostly is I quit because they left and they went and they became successful, and I still stay in my bedroom. But the thing about it is, I feel like I can drive my drums, I can drum my bass, I can do anything. And I had this little 4-tracker. Back then we used to have cassettes. I remember getting one from the music store. I got it to my dinosaur, go to the store, because that's how long ago that was. and so I used to do little tapes and stuff like that. Now that we have computers, it's easier.
Yeah, it's more advanced now.
Yeah, but music is something that is always with me. Actually, even if since I spent so many years writing lyrics, like I said, they all sounded the same. The songs were always the same, but it got to the point where it's still in my head that whenever I hear something, I can write a song.
Yeah.
It's something, even if I'm gonna sound crazy, but anyway, even when I'm in a council meeting and they're talking, I can write lyrics to what they're saying.
That's crazy.
It's still in me. So
Yeah.
sometimes they're talking and I'm like, oh, and then I can hear music and I'm like, this would be a really good song, you know.
I get you.
So it's in me, but that I can do. And I love music. I try to let my son get into music.
Yeah.
And music is also in my DNA. It's something that I cannot.
I can see that.
I cannot stop.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from our audience over here? Do you guys have any questions for Councilman Rivas? No questions? All right. For you, how has music helped you connect with other people and other cultures?
Oh, that's a good question. You just remind me, when I was in 9th grade, we had this teacher. Her name was Miss Barton. She used to teach us English, writing English. And she spent her teenage years in Japan. So you gotta understand, in my classroom, we were in ESL, English Second Language classes. So in my classroom, there would be a bunch of people who spoke Spanish from El Salvador, from Venezuela, from everywhere,
Right.
from Latin America. And you had this girl who was from France, this group of people who were from Vietnam. So we were like really, really multicultural.
Yeah, very diverse. Yeah.
Extremely. And it was funny because we would make fun of how everybody, we were teenagers, how everybody spoke. And they're like, hey, you sound like a dog. No, you sound like a dog. Because, when you hear somebody, and then one guy said, no, I remember it was really funny because he said, no, you sound more like a dog. Because you go like, hey, tú, ¿qué estás haciendo? And keeps saying, and they're like, oh, yeah, we sound like that. But anyway, this teacher said to us, you guys are from different cultures. You have different habits of doing stuff. You got to learn from each other. And then she said, don't stay in your own culture.
Yeah.
She said, United States has this thing where you can taste and try anything from anywhere in the world. You don't got to go all the way. And that's when she said, you don't got to go all the way to Japan to experience Japanese. She said, I spent years over there, and when I want to eat, I go to places where I can eat Japanese, right? So that's when I started getting into Eastern type of music, from Middle East. And I remember finding this CD, whether it was Egyptian funeral, that's what it was called in the library. And I remember listening to the music. The scales were not the same. The sounds were different. They were extremely exotic. But at the same time, when, exotic means that it's something that you're not familiar with.
Right.
That's what it actually means. But then the exotic part wore off, and I started getting used to it. So then I started getting more into more music like Japanese type music, Vietnamese music, so all of that stuff. Now, how is helping me connect? I know they're out there. The problem is, as I'm a person who likes to be by himself a lot, because so it's actually, music actually makes me isolate me, because I like to be by myself listening to it.
Yeah.
I like to be with myself writing music. A lot of my music is kind of weird in that way.
Yeah.
So it does help me know that there's people out there with different points of view.
Right.
That's a connection, but it makes me want to be more about myself. I don't know if it makes sense, because as for my training as a musician, I like to experiment right away. In trying to write a song, I'm sorry that I'm going back to that, is being by yourself. And you gotta understand, I spent about 2 years in the house with my dad working in me in that room. So I'm just to be by myself.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, it connects me. I can understand their point of views.
Yeah.
I can see that they had different point of views, and I loved it. But at the same time, I think it makes me in a way sad that I'm not gonna ever experience their culture going there. Like for example, I remember I saw this dance from Cambodia, I think, where this girl was dancing and the music was really lively. And that girl was, the way that she danced, she would run that way and run this way and looking everywhere. And then I remember that what they were explaining is there is it's a story where there's a devil trying to catch the girl. And the girl has to be running away constantly. So what she was doing is running away. And then at the end of the PBS, because PBS was a big part of me growing up,
Right.
They were saying that growth symbolizes your soul.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that I wish that I can experience from what I learned, and that connection is there, I guess.
Yeah.
It's there. I mean, it connects me to our living planet.
Right, right. Well, Councilman Rivas, we appreciate you being
Thank
on
you.
the show today. Today was great, man. We appreciate your transparency, man, your vulnerability, and the words of encouragement that you granted us. This is Ordinary Conversations with Extraordinary People. Tune in next Wednesday at 12 p.m. as we bring on R&B vocalist Shayla Sweet. Speaking of that, this Saturday, April 26th, here at the Forest Hill Library, we're hosting our Mocktails and Music. Shayla Sweet's going to be our R&B vocalist, also with some of the dynamic spoken word artists from GF Soldier, Chris No One Bradford, and Adonis Don the Poet. It's going to be amazing. Tickets right now are $15. After 3 p.m. Saturday, it'll be 20. So I suggest you get them now. But it's going to be fun, man. Safe space where we can come in and have a good time. So see y'all next week at 12 p.m. Peace.
Thank you.